What is up, people? Unreal Rexx here, bringing you guys another gameplay commentary from me to you, because I love you guys. And this is a tip video, as you guys can probably tell by the video layout. I'm using the Striker extended mags with the damage proficiency. Also with me, got the MP9 extended mags, got a good Simtex, portable radar, and then my perks are Sleight of Hand, Assassin, Sit Rep, and then my kill streaks follow as SteadyAim, Scavenger, and Hardline. Mixing it up since I'm using a shotgun, which is something I don't really hardly ever use, but I thought it'd be a special treat for you guys to maybe see how I roll when I use shotguns and maybe a funner type weapon than the usual MP7 ACR stuff that you normally see my ass run. So this commentary and tips is going to be like, how can you get a MOAB with an underrated gun and or shotgun? Well, tip number one, guys, is you have to play on a map that is a strength towards that weapon. Don't go on interchange expecting to get a spaz MOAB. It's not going to happen, people. It just won't. Unless you're lucky or you're Jesus, then it might happen. But other than that, it's not going to happen. So, try and stick to maps I like to run shotguns on are Hard Hat, maybe Resistance. I would say maybe Resistance. Bootleg, yeah. Arkaden, yes. Dome, duh. And those are my favorite maps for shotguns, because they're close, they offer close quarters, and it suits shotguns and submachine guns and other questionable weapons that sort of are in the suckish category. But enough of that. So what do you have to think about when you're going for a shotgun MOAB, or maybe a PM9 MOAB, or something that isn't quite up to scale with the other MOABs? Well, this is something I like to consider and how I like to think when I play with underrated guns and or guns that don't have long range advantage at people. This is what you got to think about, guys. You got to think about what path is the best path for me to take. Which one will allow me to get in the closer range engagements, and which one has less long sights where people can get a long range advantage on me. You want to stay to where you are in a short range advantage compared to a long range advantage. So always think about which path to take and which area to go through, which will have more close quarters combat if you're using a shotgun or a shittier SMG, or an SMG in general maybe. Think about what path on the map is going to be towards your strengths and which one would be more dangerous and play on your weaknesses. Because you do not want to take the one that's going to have the longer lines of sight, because that just will not pan out for you. Will not pan out for you. You have to use ones that are mostly close quarters. That's why in Hard Hat, I love to stay towards this construction building and then the construction area outside. It's their spawn points, and it's also extremely close quarters to where it benefits the Striker, where I can just spam that trigger and go ham with that Striker, and it gives me an advantage when these people are just spawning with assault rifles and stuff and maybe are not quite as lucky to get an advantage over me, since I'm in my playing field of being close quarters compared to where they need to be in their advantage of long range. So that's how I try and play shotguns. Always think about where you're going and what is the best route for you. What route would lead you to the most success in your gunfights? Which area of the map is focused for close quarter combat, and that's where you want to be. That's where you want to place yourself, so you always have the advantage in gunfights. You always want to have the advantage in gunfights. It makes the game so much easier. With all the bullshit in the game, if you can just set the gunfights up to your own advantage, you will win 90% of them, because you are making sure they're in your home court and not the other person's home court. That is the biggest stressful thing I have to say to people and preach it over and over, is just you have to make gunfights in your home court and not in the enemy's home court, because then that leaves you at a disadvantage when you want to be at the height of the advantage, giving your opponent the lower end of the advantage. So most likely you're going to come out victorious in a gunfight. And that's how I like to portray things, no matter what gun I'm using, ACR, strike, or whatever. And there I pick up the MOAB, almost got killed by a second chance fucker, and would have been extremely fucking mad. I would have been pissed off. But I got it, because second chance fuckers like to ruin everything, just because they do. And that's all I can say, is second chance is for bitches. Nuff said. But back on the tips. Some other tips I'd like to give you guys is tips on how people ask me, how do I get MOAB so much? And here's a tip that I thought of, which is something that I realize when someone tells me they get nervous when they're on their high streak. You have to stay calm. And what I mean by stay calm is, I know when you're getting close to that MOAB, you're getting up in the 15 kill streak range, maybe 20. Especially as you get closer, you get those butterflies, you get all tingling in your stomach, and you're like, whoa, I don't know if I can do this. Like, you're getting tingly, you're getting antsy, your palms are getting sweaty, you're having trouble thinking, everything's making you nervous, you're tensing up. Because I know when I first started getting MOABs, I would tense up a lot, and that's what would fuck me up if I did get buzz, is I would tense up and it would fuck up my streak. You have to avoid that, guys. You can't get tensed up when you're on a streak. You have to stay loose and not worry about it. Don't think about it. Always, when you're on a high streak, especially once you're climbing the 15 up to the 20, getting real close to that MOAB, that's when you got to be the most focused. That is when you have to think the most, guys. That is the key importance to getting a MOAB. Not when you're building up your special streak, not up until 15. Those are just the basic points. You still want to think crucial at those points, but you don't want to be... You always want to think crucial, but you don't want to overthink things. But once you get to 15, 20, 22 kills, you want to start thinking. That's when you want to just tune everything out. And I mean everything. Focus on footsteps. Listen to the environment. Look at your mini-map. That's when you really, really want to be cautious and pay attention to things, guys, is when you get up to those higher streaks, to make sure you get that gameplay, to make sure you get that MOAB. You want to think about what you're doing. It's the most strategic time in the gameplay to really consider what you're doing, to really question if you should take those paths. Even to this day, that still fucks me up and will cause me a death or whatever, is when I don't take time to think things through and when I get antsy. The worst thing you can do is feel like you gotta move. You're getting jittery. You don't want to do that. That causes me to die so much. When I think, even when I have a ballistic vessel on or whatever, I think I'm Superman, got specials going on, I think I can go in and clutch a fast MOAB, and I end up dying. You don't want to ever, if you know you can get the MOAB, take your time and get the MOAB. You want to get the MOAB rather than getting buzz killed, because it leads to a more satisfactory end of a game. So just when you're getting closer to those high streaks, constantly question yourself. Should I do this? Should I do that? What is the best possible route for me to take to make sure I succeed with getting this MOAB? That's what you constantly want to be thinking about, guys. You constantly want to be running through your head which route, which area would be the best for your outcome, which would lead to success, and which might possibly jeopardize your gameplay and or MOAB or whatever you're going for. You always want to keep those things in the back of your head, guys, especially when you're getting higher in the streaks. Constantly question and think about what you're doing in your movements. Your movements are key to getting gameplays and getting high scores. It's key. Your movements and the route you take in maps is what determines it all, guys. So just constantly think when you're playing. If you're going to take this game seriously and actually go for high scoring games and stuff, you will be willing to make routes and play the game seriously enough to do that. And I guarantee you guys will have success if you do those quick tips. Just think about your movements. Movements is key when it comes to Call of Duty. Movements and routes. That's the biggest thing I can say. And environment. Acknowledgement. Those are the three main things I can say. And guys, this gameplay is wrapping up to an end. I am Unreal Rexx, and as always, guys, please like, comment, and if you're new here, take a chance and click subscribe. It will not hurt. Well, guys, I'm Unreal Rexx. I'll see y'all later. Later.